Welcome to Avasant's Empowering Beyond Digital Summit. I'm excited to be here to share about the stories related to accelerating business transformation while balancing opportunities and risk. So let me start sharing a little bit about myself and HII. So as you can see, so I am Bharat Amin. I'm the EVP and CIO of Huntington Ingalls Industries. I think it's important as a leader to be aware of your strength, leadership style, and personal beliefs to drive change. So personally, in the bottom, you see are what my beliefs are. And again, I say nobody can take two things away from you: health and knowledge. So focus on maintaining you and growing them. So you can make impossible things possible. Be tenacious about setting goals so big that you cannot possibly achieve them, but then grow into a person who can. To chase your dreams, you have to overcome your fear of failure and make every failure an opportunity to learn. Better yet, teach something that you're uncomfortable with. It will make you a fast learner. And I've applied that many times. Understand that you cannot know everything, and therefore you have to leverage. Leverage your strengths and talents of yourself and others. Always find opportunities to build trustworthy relationships and to grow influencing skills. Have courage to challenge status quo, speak up and speak out, but with civility. And then last but not least, I would say have conviction to act decisively and quickly and hold yourself accountable for your actions and outcomes. And lastly, I've added one more belief in here I've added last year based on pandemic, I've added to be happy and make others happy. What I like to do next is roll the video of our company that you'll get snippets of our digital and business transformation. So please roll the video. So what you saw was the glimpse of our business transformation journey at HII through all three divisions. Now, let me share a little bit of some facts about three autonomous businesses that we have. Ingalls. It's the largest manufacturing employer in the state of Mississippi. Approximately 11,500 employees. We build there 4 classes of ships, over 800 acres of shipyard. Newport News Shipbuilding. Virginia's largest industrial employer, employing more than 25,000 employees. We are a sole provider of nuclear powered aircraft carrier, and we are one of the 2 companies provide nuclear powered submarines. Technical Solutions, located in 45 states and 15 countries with 6,000 employees. And we have a broad portfolio of military and nuclear environmental technologies. Next gen in IT, C5SR, and unmanned systems. With recent acquisition of Hydroid, unmanned undersea products, we are now building an unmanned center of excellence with 100% digital manufacturing in Hampton, Virginia. HII as overall is America's largest military shipbuilding company with more than 42,000 employees. 85% of current active Navy fleets were built by HII. Let me share next about we build complex products and solve complex problems at HII. So as you can see, the design cycle here, design, build, and sustain, is a shipbuilding cycle that we have with digital thread throughout the supply chain. So for example, our Nimitz and Ford class carrier, CVN, has a lifespan of 50 years. And our Virginia class submarines have lifespan of 35 years. Essentially, we build floating cities, and each class of lifespan can be up to 100 years. Running and maintaining a technology to support this life cycle can be challenging. The complexity of our products are managed within our product life cycle. So long design and construction spans up to 10 years in class of design, in like a Nimitz or Ford, and it takes up to 5 to 7 years to construct that each product set. We have large volumes of parts and components that come together from 50 states with a complex supply chain, and then some of the critical parts have lead time up to 2 to 3 years. We have tight tolerance processes, even the ships are huge, but we assemble them like Lego blocks. And I'll give you an example of electromagnetic launching system requires a micron level of alignment with her laser technology when we align them. We do complex testing and ship deliveries, sea trials. I was fortunate to be able to go on two separate sea trials. One was CVN 78 Ford class, the first of the class. I was 7 days at sea when we were doing a sea trial. And the second one was also a more thrilling experience. I went on a John Warner submarine underwater for 3 days on a sea trial. This is why I believe that we need digital investment to improve our cost, quality, delivery of our products and services. And we must find efficient way to find a lowest way to provide, maintain carrier life cycles such as long lifespans. So how do we do this digitally? Let me share what technologies we bring to help solve business problems. So as I said, complex solutions by leveraging technology. Here are some of the technologies that I wanna give you some thoughts around. As you can see, robotics. One of the reasons why I chose working for HII 6 years ago was amazing technologies that we were using to build complex product sets. And some examples I want to give you is robotics, for example. We use robotics to build bulk line welding automation at Ingalls. So the data is coming electronically provided to the welding engineering has predefined weld parameters, and that gets applied from a design all the way onto the machine that does the welding. 3D printing. Our first 3D printed part was approved by Navy in 2019 and is currently being tested on CVN 7, one of the CVN carrier today as we speak. 5G. We were the first 5G shipyard or the division or company in US to have a 5G infrastructure on our shipyard. And what we are trying to do there is now to leverage 5G along with mobility to bring our digital assets and product sets to our waterfront shipyard workers. Autonomous vehicle is, again, I talked about unmanned maritime solutions that we have just acquired Hydroid. And we are building center of excellence in Hampton, Virginia, that's going to be 100% digital manufacturing. AR, VR, as you can see, you saw some examples. We have Dogfish Lab that developed the first successful app where we use the augmented reality for super lifts and certifying compartments. And data analytics, for example, we use IoT and analytics to drive decision-making across HII. So these are some examples of how we are leveraging complex technologies to solve complex problems. The next chart talks about risks. So business risk will require a strategic mindset. Cybersecurity becomes important when you start create a digital product sets. So when you digitalize, make sure you mature cybersecurity function along with it. There are budget constraints. As you know, we always have budget constraints in supply chain and internal business operations. You need to make sure you account for that. Rate of change in technology. You saw that, right? In COVID, in pandemic, a lot of companies had to, change how they operate. For example, we went from remote work 1x to 10x within 40 days. So it requires the technology implementation and all the things you have to do to make sure you can allow your employees to work. And then last but not least, the compliances, the increased compliance that coming in our case, cybersecurity maturity model certification that's coming up on us. So all of these, when you add up, you have to shift from cost to value and to drive your strategic enterprise portfolio. So you got to have a strategic mindset. In order to do that, when my position was appointed a year ago, we started looking at what is going to be our strategy over the next 4 years. And I want to walk you through that briefly on my next chart. So cybersecurity strategic path forward at HI Enterprise. As you can see, autonomous businesses on the left. We have decided as of last year to think through on what our journey is going to be on foundational things that we want to do to achieve our strategic intent, which is on the right side, Industry 4.0, shipyard of the future, and all digital transformation where we are doing to transform our business. So in between is we have latched on to a zero trust journey, and part of foundational things we are doing where we can bring 3 individual businesses together to collaborate better. And we are also trying to put in a zero trust where, as you can see, we want to move from network-centric security to application-centric security so that we can protect our digital assets. So that's what we have embarked on. With that, we are also implementing technology business management because we do want to make sure we are on the spend that we make on the digital investments and the value we drive. We can share that with our business partners. And then you apply CMMC, cybersecurity maturity model certification to it, and then apply on top of that innovation and business drives through Center of Excellence. So that is how we plan to move from islands of information all the way to integrated businesses where they can do digital transformation. So next I want to talk about, you need to do a digital adoption. How do you do digital adoption? I have in my 5 years come across 5 key behaviors you have to drive a disruption, a digital disruption that will help you do digital transformation. So here are the 5 things to do to disrupt. Again, I'm going to give you some examples, live examples of how we have used them. The first one is nurture trust and relationships. And you have to build this trust and relationship in all different, varying from customers, suppliers, internal stakeholders. So you got to start with that. Second one is cut through bureaucracy. Many legacy business have old school mindset and their fair share of bureaucracy and outdated processes. And I'm going to share with you some examples of how we have empowered, our employees while through technology to move forward. Third one is go against the grain. Good news is that most of you likely have people on your team that are willing to challenge status quo and ride with going against the grain. And I'm going to share some examples around that. You have to have an entrepreneurial spirits. And in order to have, in a many legacy, a company like ours, over 134 years, you have legacy business processes and that process-driven culture with a lot of command and control. In order to break that, you're going to have entrepreneurial spirits like running your own business. And last but not least, be willing to take risks. In order to gain, you have to take risks. So let me walk you through one at a time, giving you some examples of these 5 things. Trusting relationships. Again, you need to build relationships with your customers, business partners, and people. So you got to make sure you go through all 4 areas in building trusting relationships. And next, you need to leverage inclusion. As you can see on the bottom, as the boomers and from a workforce perspective are decreasing over time, you're going to see millennials and Gen 2020 are coming in. So you need to build partnerships, through your internal, including your workforce, where you partner on both sides to create multi-generation workforce. And then last one is, this is how you create 42,000 people strong relationships. Next chart, I want to share a little bit about how do you cut through bureaucracy. You start with, things we did was we created a disruptathon. You have to bring people of like-minded and other partners, including academias, and create a disruptathon. We did that kind of trying to think about how can we disrupt ourselves? And we came up with some ideas. And one of them that was around, we got rid of approval process on laptops. There is no need. In fact, we made laptop as a standard because we want to have more mobile workforce. Analytics and transparency. So you need to bring data and create analytics to make decisions. And when you make decisions, you also want to be transparent about your spend. And how do you do that? When you create transparency on spend, you'll build trusting relationship. And last but not least, you need to have agile and DevSecOps operations. So not that we don't agree and we do a lot of things in waterfall, but agile and DevSecOps become part of it, and that's how you create cut through bureaucracy. Next, I want to share, creating culture and digital workforce. So how do you do that? As you can see, a typical when the work is done on the ship, a shipyard worker will have stack of drawings. You can see, like 2-3 inches thick of stack of drawings that he or she uses to then build or assemble what that drawing is asking for. Now what we are moving into visual work instructions. And what it is, it's you get the instruction for the day, for the job, where you need to go, and on your mobile device, very secured, and then follow those instructions that shows how do you install piping. The next one talks about in terms of a Foundry. We do a lot of a Foundry work where we have critical parts where we actually do Foundry work and we mold them. And now we are moving into 3D printing. So think about going from a year-long cycle time or 6 months to days and weeks to print it. So moving into full-scale 3D printed parts in a secure fashion. So that's another example of how you can disrupt. Next one is on a disruptive technologies. How do you do that? So how do you have entrepreneurial spirits? Well, we started off with this 50-foot mobile experience trailer, and we have actually one part of the ship actually shown inside the trailer, and we bring these technologies to where our workers are, and instead of bringing them to a classroom, and then we show them how they can use digital technologies and how they can take ideas and prototypes and create things. So we use VR, immersive and learning environment, and then we use AR on ship side. I mentioned a little bit about it. You saw that in compartment completion. So this is how you go proof to concept and to production. And last but not least, taking risk. Be willing to take risk. When you want to have connected and secure infrastructure, you're going to need to rely above and beyond your access points and your internal wireless. So, we were the first 5G enabled shipyard at Newport News in 2019 to have an infrastructure. And then we waited for mobile technologies to show up that adopted 5G. And now we are working towards implementing 5G with private LTE, so we can make sure we can bring high-speed video and transmission through mobile device to our shipyard workers. So this is how 5 examples of disrupting and transforming. But with that comes, you need to balance risk and opportunities. So the next chart, I want to talk to you about risk and opportunities. So as you see on the top, this is just like, tip of the iceberg. On the top, you see are a lot of opportunities that I shared with you: cloud, external partnerships, augmented reality, employee training through a trailer, 3D modeling, engaging with employees, and mobility. But it's only tip of the iceberg. So when you look on risks below, you need to worry about third-party products. Want to make sure that they integrate well. Cybersecurity, that is probably one of the largest risks in business transformation these days. As you create digital product sets, you're going to grow the threat vectors, and you need to find out how you are going to protect your IP as well as your customers' data, as well as your employee data. So these are some examples. I would give you one example. Digital literacy is such a huge impact that we didn't realize. We have master shipbuilders. Master shipbuilders are a status a shipbuilder gets when they've been with the company for 40 years. And when we were doing a training in our about digitalization, when you just assume that people know what, these are master shipbuilders, right? You assume that they know what, control alt delete means. And in fact, it was such a rude awakening for some of us was that was not true. So a master shipbuilder did not know what control alt delete meant. And he felt so bad that actually he went and bought his own personal money, bought a laptop and learned more about it. But he does great work in your shipyard. So don't let go or don't forget about digital literacy. So here are the few examples that you need to worry about. So let me give you 3 takeaways. Number 1, trusting relationships. You start with that. Without that, you cannot do a business transformation or digital disruption. Then second one, need to have courage to disrupt. Again, this comes from you as a leader and your teams. You need to be able to speak up. You need to be able to challenge status quo. And that's how you're going to get to it. And last but not least, I'm going to say third one, you got to go after a relentless journey. This is not something you achieve in a day or two. It's a journey, and you need to have a relentless force behind it. So that's my pitch for today. Thank you. And oh, by the way, this is how we shape our freedom, our nation's freedom, is through our product sets and what we do. And we truly believe our end goal, our mission is to be shaping our nation's freedom. Thank you for your attention.